Hello everyone, Spud here, and in today's video I want to talk with you fun folks about something that Electronic Arts said a few days ago. They had mentioned that as of moving most of their main titles over to the Frostbite Engine developed by DICE, that they were going to start focusing on a top-down approach to game development. Now, what this essentially means is that they're designing their games for the highest spec PCs first, and then scaling that down for the console versions. I believe that this design philosophy started with DICE in the Battlefield franchise as far back as Battlefield 3, according to some articles I found, but I may be wrong. Now, online, this has got some people in the comments quite upset, saying that developers should focus on the console versions first, as was the norm of generations past. However, in my mind, there are a lot of negatives to that approach. And focusing on the high-end benefits of all gamers, not just those who play on PC. Now, I feel obliged to mention that I am a PC gamer mostly, but I do have a PS4, and I used to have an Xbox One before I sold it to a friend just because he was going to get more use out of it than I would. My main platform is definitely PC, and so this is my perspective, and console players probably have a different one, and that's okay. And if you want to debate with me on this, feel free to do so in the comments down below, but let's just try and keep it civil. I don't want a war erupting down there. Alright, so let's get started, and the first reason why I think it's better that they focus on the higher end first is just because it makes things a hell of a lot easier on the developer side. They can push more innovation and quality into their art without worrying about making it work within a restricted set of console specifications, or at least not at first. Take freaking Star Citizen, for example. That game is going to be, well, it has the potential to be groundbreaking, and it'd be very hard for them to do all that they're trying to do on a console. Not saying it's impossible, just saying it'd be hard. And it would definitely make it a lot worse than for them saying, fuck it, we're just trying to target the highest end PCs right now and see what that comes out as. Second, it's much easier to scale something back rather than scale it up. In old titles, PC versions might be limited to better textures or lighting, or maybe a little bit more anti-aliasing. The PC version still looked better, and there was no debate there. But it's nowhere close to the difference we see today, and that's because developers would have to add in new effects and texture packs post-production. By focusing on the PC version first, the developer not only has a better looking game, but to port it to consoles oftentimes is just turning off effects, rather than trying to create new ones after the game's already made. And to be honest, console players should be really happy about that, especially with the release of PS4 Pro and Scorpio coming off, because if you can turn something off to make it run better, you can turn something on when new hardware comes out. Remasters or upgrading the visuals of games will be much easier when the developer only has to enable settings and then re-release a patch or send out, a new version of the game rather than doing a full remaster. It will just mean that if we want to see more of these old games brought to new glory on new hardware for consoles, it'd be a much simpler process. And some people try to argue that focusing on the consoles is catering to the lowest common denominator, or that AAA games don't fit in with the PC crowd, but these are both faulty arguments. Yes, catering to the lowest common denominator can make financial sense, but when doing that literally increases the workload on shipping the PC version of the game, it is actually costing the company time and resources to develop that way. And I've seen in these comments that PC gamers are different than console gamers, and one tried to compare Rome Total War and the Uncharted series, but that's just like a logical fallacy. Just because we have more type genres of games available doesn't mean that we aren't interested in more mainstream titles, just that we have more choices. Some others say that developers stray from the PC because, well, PC gamers have more options and higher standards when it comes to gaming, and thus it puts a greater strain on developers to get it right. To them I ask, is that really such a bad thing? They are right that PC players have high standards. In fact, it's oftentimes due to the outcry from the PC player base that a lot of anti-consumer policies get brought to light, or poorly handled reports get pulled and sailed until they're fixed. If developing for PC makes companies try harder to make their games stand out, to make them better titles, how is that a bad thing? Secondly, there are tons of examples of console ports being botched and crippled by things such as frame caps, or just general bugs that make the game unplayable. However, the same is not often heard when a PC title is moved to consoles. Maybe it is because console players have lower standards, or it could be, as I mentioned before, that it is much easier to turn settings down in a game than to try to upskill it for a platform it's not designed for. Anyways guys, that's all I have to say. What do you think? Do you like the idea of developers targeting the bleeding edge of technology? Leave your thoughts down below, and thank you all so much for watching. you like the video, please hit the like button. If you dislike it, well, you know what to do. And if you like me and the content I produce, please hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you guys all in my next video. Bye-bye.